25, speed jive, don't want to stay
Heidi and Frank
alive.
Show. I want to remind you to join us and Coastline Travel Advisors at Villa del Palmar Beach Resort and Spa at the islands of Loreto, Mexico. We're going to be there from April 11th through the 14th for a 3-night all-inclusive trip that includes round-trip airfare from LAX, a deluxe ocean view room, and all your meals and unlimited top-shelf liquor.
Unlimited.
All the information can be found at 955KLOS.com. The keyword there is Mexico. Or you can visit coastlinetravel.com or call Coastline Travel. 800-448-2374, 800-448-2374. First 20 people get the special wine and tequila tasting party. Sounds like a great trip for a couple who's looking maybe to spark it back up. Right, Dr. Mike Dow?
Right. Maybe you should invite Courtney and Doug.
Oh, how awesome would that be?
That would be awesome.
Some trip to Mexico with those two. Now, do you think those two will be together for the long haul?
No.
How long do you give it, the Courtney Stodden and Doug Hutchinson?
3 years.
You're like Dougal right now. I'm sensing 3 years.
3 years.
And who's going to call it quits?
Courtney.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's 18 when she gets to be about 21. I may be wrong, but I think that there's a very good chance that when she starts to grow up, she will realize, she needed something from him at the time. It felt real, but she's going to grow up and she's going to grow out of it.
Would you say anybody at 18 would feel the same way, even with another person their age? It's like you're young, you're having these feelings, you don't understand them. So 18 is probably way too young to even get into a committed relationship.
I do. Marriages that start in your 30s are more likely to last than marriages that begin in your 20s. So I don't even want to begin to talk about marriages that start before you're even legally an adult.
Yeah, you're so different. Think back to when you were 18 years old, how different you are.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to have been married to the same person when I was, 18 years old. Married to Joe. I'm a completely different...
That would have been a big mistake.
Well, yeah, that would probably have been a mistake on a couple of levels, but
Unless it was Joe from Facts of Life.
Oh, my God.
Then it would have been awesome.
Nancy McKeon? Oh,
do you remember the lesbian scene on Facts of Life?
Between who?
Between Blair and Joe.
What?
There was this insinuation that Joe was looking at Blair, and somebody showed me this YouTube clip, and I'm like, they never insinuated that. And then sure enough, I'm watching this clip, and there was a scene, and Blair was saying, well, the way you look at me, Joe...
How did I miss this?
You have to check it out.
Well, immediately following this show, that's what I'm doing.
Right after that, did Miss Garrett come in and break it up?
Oh, girl!
You might have missed it if Miss Garrett hadn't have popped in.
Dang it, Mrs. Garrett.
We do have some calls for Dr. Mike Dow. He is an expert in relationships and addiction as well, and food.
Yes.
Relationships with food, even. If you can call him about anything. I hear he's like one of the smartest guys on the planet.
Yeah, he's a very
that's
smart
what Heidi's
guy.
been saying about it. It's like
he really
people
is.
call up and ask you anything, and he knows
He knows
everything.
his work. He knows his work. He studies.
He is the expert in the room. So give us a call, 1-800-955-5567. We have Justin on line 2. Justin, say hello to Dr. Mike.
Hey, Dr. Mike, this is Justin from Corona.
Hey there, Justin.
I have a question. I'm trying to convince my wife. If you don't use it, is it true? Do you lose it?
Are we talking about sex?
Your penis.
No, the blender.
Your penis.
Yeah, the blender.
That is actually pretty true. So the muscles down there can atrophy. So if you want to have not only stronger orgasms, but if you also want to do things like, say, prevent prostate cancer, I recommend that you have sex or masturbate if you are single 5 times a week. For men, if you have 5 orgasms a week or more, you can reduce your risk of prostate cancer by 30%.
Because it basically gets out the poison.
Is this like that one beer a day is healthy? What if I'm already up to 20 this week on masturbation?
Yeah,
am I hurting myself?
Oh, well, listen to our caller. You sounds like you have a very healthy sex life.
He's got 5 already. It's Thursday.
So what's your wife worried about if you're having so many orgasms?
Are they not with your wife?
I think he's asking the question saying, if my wife doesn't use it, will she lose it? Because it's the same thing for women.
It is the same thing for women, and we see that, Kegels, which you could do right now by squeezing that muscle you would use to stop the flow of urine.
Me too.
Will actually do things, especially for women, and especially for women who are going to have babies or have had babies. It prevents incontinence in later decades. It also makes the muscle, it's like any other muscle we were talking about. It's like going to the gym. You want to exercise that muscle, because when you exercise that muscle, it prevents atrophy. It keeps your everything tight, but it also, ironically, helps helps things to relax. You don't want an atrophied muscle in your arm. You don't want an atrophied muscle in your genitals.
I so wish Carrie Underwood would put out that exercise video. That would be so awesome.
It would be a hit.
Seriously,
but I don't think,
it.
if you're thinking like, does it close up? Like if you've had an earring in and then you take it out, it doesn't grow closed. It might atrophy, but it doesn't like, you're like, oh my God, it's all shut.
It won't close.
Let's go to Julie on line 3. Hello, Julie. Say hello to Dr. Mike.
Hi, Dr. Mike.
Hi there, Julie.
I've been married for 22 years, and my husband had an emotional affair, and he tortured me for a freaking year.
Yeah.
And I'm just at my wit's end. We've gone to church. We've gone to counseling. I was told if a man has an emotional affair that he's just really trying to better, that there's no such thing as just an emotional affair for a guy. So I really don't know what to do at this point. It's been 2 years since the affair. I believe.
What did the affair entail? Was it texting, emailing, talking on the phone? What?
Excuse me?
What did the emotional affair entail? Texting, talking on the phone?
I caught it. Texting, emails, and he would lock his phone, and he has a work phone. He just recently got rid of the emails, but he just got a brand new work phone, a 4 iPhone.
Yeah.
S, and he could have changed that phone number, and that person still.
How does she get over this one, Dr.
Well,
Mike?
listen, I hear how hurt you are, and the thing that I want to say to you is the decision is going to be yours, and can you forgive your husband? It sounds like you've been married for over 20 years. Obviously, there's a reason that the two of you got together, and some people can forgive, but there are also people that will never get over that affair. And I think you have to ask yourself that question, can I forgive him? What I will say to you, the one piece of advice I will give you is that I always look at affairs as a symptom. I look at them as information to say, what was this person not getting in this relationship that they felt like they needed to cheat in some way? And especially men, men are not good at verbalizing what they need. Men often communicate by what they do, not by what they say. So if he was acting out in an affair, I would say that there was something that he wasn't communicating. Now, I'm not condoning his behavior because it was his fault. That was not the right way to do it. But I would really like to see and to get to the bottom of this and to see what was it that he was really needing from you that he couldn't communicate.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't there emotionally for him, and he met a woman who was hanging on his every word, and that felt really good after 25 years.
And what we were talking about before, men also misinterpret that first stage of high dopamine falling in love as being in love. And when you're married for over 22 years in the case of our caller here, the dopamine dips, and a lot of men misinterpret that as, well, I'm not in love anymore, and they're craving that hit like somebody who's a cocaine addict gets a dopamine hit in that way. So it has a very similar neurochemical profile, and when people can understand that, I think it helps them to understand what love really is.
Well, he left me behind in the marriage, and he just thought thought you cared anymore. I didn't think you mattered, and I caught him with this.
Here's my advice, Julie. My advice is to convince yourself that the woman he was having the emotional affair with was just a large Samoan guy and that she never existed.
The Manti Te'o strategy.
He is kind of a large Samoan guy.
Well, I'm glad you're laughing, Julie, because I think that's helpful, and the more you can have some humor about this, and I think there's something to be said about the fact that he never actually cheated, and I think that is information that says that he is. He never physically went through that. I do believe that emotional affairs are affairs. Let me say that. So I think the fact that he never pulled the trigger in terms of sex says something, and I think that he is still committed to you in some way.
Well, he has other issues in that department too. So
oh boy,
I would imagine.
You know what? She needs to call that sex show. That's what you need to do.
Do you do private stuff outside of that sex show? Because I know that Dougal does readings for people outside of the sex show or that sex show. So do you? I
do a lot of couples and sex therapy, but I am currently not taking new patients.
You're focusing you're focusing on that sex show.
Yes, that sex show that premieres Monday on the Logo Network at 11 p.m. Weeknights. Yep. Every weeknight. Can you stick around for another break? Because we got a lot of people calling up. You're obviously you get great advice, and people need fixing.
I do want to find out, too, is there a way that I can increase my dopamine and serotonin levels, too?
There is.
When that feeling goes away, how do I get it back?
There is.
Okay,
and
cool.
you said it happens in men a lot more, right?
Yes.
They get addicted to that?
Yeah.
So for a guy to have a long, successful marriage, he must take, ecstasy every day. Just to keep riding that rave.
They used to use ecstasy for couples therapy back in the 70s.
Really?
That's why it was invented.
Hey, honey, want to act like we're arguing? Go down, get some ecstasy. That's awesome. 1-800-955-5567. More with Dr. Mike Dow when we come back. We are Heidi and Frank.
That was just a little sample of the Heidi and Frank Show on 95.5 KLOS. To get more samples like this and hear all the fun we have, you can do that at 955KLOS.com. Now, to get the show in its entirety on demand, and if you want to watch the show, we webcast it every day, all you have to do is go to HeidiandFrank.com and become a premium package member. Do it right now.